Meri Brown just dropped a bombshell so shocking, so utterly destabilizing, that it rewrites everything fans thought they knew about the Brown family's so-called equal partnership. The money from her Las Vegas home sale, money she earned, saved, and poured her heart into, was allegedly funneled directly into funding Robyn Brown's Flagstaff luxury mansion. Let that sink in. For years, viewers watched Meri live modestly, struggling to make ends meet, while Robyn climbed the ladder of extravagance, living in home after home that seemed to get bigger and more opulent with each passing year. This wasn't bad luck. This wasn't poor planning. No, according to insiders, this was a calculated, systematic transfer of wealth from one wife to another. And Meri? She's finally refusing to stay silent. Sources close to Meri reveal the chilling details. She was expected to sign non-disclosure agreements, silencing her about the inner workings of family finances, essentially forcing her into submission while Robyn lived a life of luxury funded by her hard work. Now, Meri has broken that silence, and the revelations are devastating. One insider was blunt. Meri essentially bankrolled Robyn's Flagstaff lifestyle, receiving nothing in return. Meanwhile, the family continued preaching fairness and equality among the wives. The hypocrisy is staggering. Robyn Brown, the last wife to join the family, the one who brought both debt and drama into an already complex dynamic, ended up in a mansion valued at over $900,000. Meanwhile, Meri, who had sacrificed legal recognition for Robyn's inclusion into the family, was left renting. And now, the truth is crystal clear. Meri's own money made Robyn's luxury possible. The audacity of this arrangement is breathtaking when you step back and look at the full picture. Fans who've followed Sister Wives since day one are experiencing a collective mix of vindication and outrage. For years, they sensed something was deeply off with how Robyn enjoyed privileges denied to the other wives. They watched Christine leave, watched Janelle pull back, watched Meri live in a strange limbo of rejection and obligation. And now, the financial receipts are out, and they paint a picture of manipulation and favoritism far deeper than anyone imagined. This was not a family operating on principles. This was a system engineered to benefit two people at everyone else's expense. The mic drop moment came when Meri outlined the exact flow of funds. Her Las Vegas home sale directly funded Robyn's Flagstaff mansion. No hedging, no vague language. Meri was precise, direct, and done protecting those who never protected her. The host of the tell-all, Sokana, reportedly looked visibly stunned. And honestly, so did the audience. This kind of financial betrayal would destroy most families. And now, the Brown family's facade of fairness is completely exposed. Kody preached that all income went into one pot, and all expenses were supposed to come out fairly. On paper, it sounded like equality. In reality, it was a mirage. Here's the brutal truth. Robyn lived like royalty in Flagstaff, with a mansion and guest house. Meri rented. Janelle rented. Christine eventually bought her own property just to escape the renting trap. 3 wives struggled, while one thrived, and now, we know exactly why. Money that was meant to be shared, money that should have supported the family as a whole, flowed in one direction, toward Robyn. Insiders confirm it was always. In reality, the system was anything but equal. Some wives sacrificed everything, every ounce of time, money, and emotional energy, while one wife seemingly shared in nothing but the benefits. Meri's hard-earned money built Robyn's dream home. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. The wife who had been emotionally sidelined, abandoned, and pushed to the margins of her own family was simultaneously funding the lavish lifestyle of the wife who had replaced her in Kody's affections. And make no mistake, this revelation is only the tip of a very large, very ugly iceberg. The specific mechanics of how Meri's Las Vegas home sale money ended up in Robyn's possession are far more infuriating than even the big picture suggests. Every single detail Meri has shared paints a devastating portrait of how Kody operated within this marriage. She paid for everything related to that Vegas property, every mortgage payment, every repair, every upgrade, every single dollar spent turning a house into a home came directly from her pocket. Yet when it came time to sell, Kody's name was on the deed. That seemingly simple legal fact entitled him to claim half the proceeds, as if he had contributed a single dime. Let's be brutally clear about what this represents. Meri worked tirelessly, sacrificed endlessly, and financed every aspect of a property that Kody then laid claim to, purely because his name appeared on paper. And all the while, Robyn, who contributed none of that labor or money, walked into the benefits, enjoying the mansion Meri literally paid for. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't miscommunication. This was deliberate financial manipulation, executed with precision, all under the guise of family fairness. The injustice here is almost cinematic in its audacity. Meri's sacrifice funded the very comforts and privileges that Robyn took for granted, while Meri herself was left to navigate a maze of legal and emotional hurdles just to survive. And now, for the first time, the world is seeing the stark, unvarnished truth of what this shared, family life really looked like behind closed doors. She built equity through her own labor and sacrifice, and he showed up at the finish line demanding his cut. One source close to the situation didn't mince words, calling it financial abuse disguised as family cooperation. Another described it as watching someone's life's work get siphoned away in slow motion, all while being told it was for the greater good of the family. The tell-all host reportedly struggled to contain her shock as Meri laid out exactly what Kody demanded from the Vegas sale. Her reaction wasn't performative, it was visceral. The kind of stunned silence that tells you even seasoned insiders of Brown family chaos were not prepared for this level of entitlement. Kody, according to Meri, felt completely justified claiming proceeds from a home he never financially supported. His reasoning? They were married and everything was shared. Funny how that philosophy only seemed to apply when it benefited Kody and Robyn. Because what happened to the Vegas sale proceeds tells the real story of the Brown family finances. That money didn't go into a neutral family account. It didn't go toward improving Coyote Pass for everyone's future. It didn't lift all boats. It went straight into the purchase of a luxury mansion near Flagstaff, a home Kody and Robyn would enjoy, while Meri was left with absolutely nothing to show for years of payments. $900,000. That's roughly what Robyn's Flagstaff mansion cost. And Meri's Vegas money helped make it happen. The paper trail, according to sources, is damning. Meri isn't speaking in vague accusations or emotional generalities. She has receipts, specific numbers, specific transactions, specific moments where she watched her earned income quietly redirected into someone else's luxury lifestyle. Fans who long wondered how Robyn could afford such an extravagant home while the family claimed financial struggle now had their answer. She afforded it because other wives, especially Meri, unwillingly funded it. But the mansion purchase didn't happen in a vacuum. It was made possible by what insiders describe as Robyn's peculiar inability to find a rental property that met her needs. And the story of how renting suddenly became impossible exposes yet another layer of favoritism that is guaranteed to infuriate viewers. When the Browns relocated to Flagstaff, all the wives faced the same challenge: finding housing in a new city. Janelle found a rental. Meri found a rental. They did what most practical adults do. They took what was available and made it work. Robyn, however, operated under an entirely different set of expectations. Sources say she couldn't find a single rental property in all of Flagstaff that met her exact specifications. Let that sink in. In an entire city, not one home was good enough for Robyn Brown. The other wives adapted. Robyn demanded perfection. And guess who pushed, relentlessly, until buying became the only acceptable option? Kody. Always advocating for Robyn's wants, while the other wives were expected to simply manage. One insider described the rental search as theatrical rather than genuine, more performance than problem-solving, with the outcome seemingly decided before it even began. And just like that, Robyn became the only wife who got to buy, while everyone else scrambled. They claim Robyn made a performance out of looking at rental properties, all while having no genuine intention of renting if buying was even remotely on the table. Another source revealed that Kody presented the purchase as though Robyn needed convincing, as if she were reluctantly agreeing to buy a home for the good of the family. Let me translate that for you. Robyn wanted a house. Kody wanted Robyn to have whatever she wanted. The purchase was framed as a necessity when it was actually a preference from the very beginning. And the contrast between how Robyn handled housing and how the other wives did could not be more stark. Janelle rented a place that was simply adequate. Nothing flashy. Nothing perfect. Just a functional home for her and her kids. Meri did the same, accepting what was available without demanding the family stretch its finances to meet her personal standards. Christine eventually bought her own home, but only after learning the hard way that years of renting left her with nothing when it was time to walk away. Only Robyn required special accommodation. And only Robyn received it. What makes this even more infuriating is the financial narrative Kody was pushing at the time. He constantly talked about money stress, about the burden of maintaining multiple households, about how everyone needed to sacrifice for the greater good of the family. And yet, those concerns magically disappeared the moment Robyn's housing needs entered the conversation. Suddenly, there was money. Suddenly, flexibility appeared. Suddenly, sacrifice meant something entirely different when applied to the favored wife. And let's be clear, the home Robyn initially purchased in Flagstaff was not some modest, compromised property. It was a substantial house in a desirable area, exactly the kind of purchase someone makes when money is no object. But here's the part fans are only now fully grasping, and it's the most outrageous detail of all. That house wasn't good enough for long. It was eventually sold so Robyn could upgrade to an even larger mansion, this time complete with a guest house. Which means Meri's Vegas money didn't just fund one luxury home for her sister wife. It helped fund two. And that upgrade scandal? It may be the single most blatant example of financial favoritism in the entire Brown family saga. Robyn's first Flagstaff home, the one purchased because no rental in the entire city met her standards, was suddenly no longer good enough. So what happened next? The family sold it and rolled the equity into an even more expensive property, a full-scale mansion with a guest house that Robyn allegedly needed for reasons that remain conveniently undefined. Let's break this down in real terms. Meri's Vegas home sale proceeds helped fund Robyn's first Flagstaff purchase. That home was then sold, and the equity built in part on Meri's money, was used to buy an even larger mansion. Meri didn't just subsidize Robyn's lifestyle once. She subsidized it twice. She watched her hard-earned money transform into luxury real estate she would never live in, never benefit from, and never see a return on. The audacity of that reality is staggering. Sources close to the family say the mansion upgrade was the breaking point, even for longtime defenders of the Browns. One insider said it became impossible to justify a wife upgrading to a mansion with a guest house while other wives were still renting or barely staying afloat financially. Another described it as watching wealth transfer in real time while everyone pretended it was just normal family dynamics. These weren't jealous outsiders speculating. These were people on the inside who could no longer ignore the favoritism unfolding right in front of them. Fan reaction to the double upgrade was immediate and brutal. Social media erupted as viewers questioned how Robyn could live like royalty while continuing to claim the family operated on shared principles. Suddenly, Meri's emotional withdrawal and visible pain made horrifying sense. She wasn't just coping with rejection from Kody, she was watching her own money fund his new life with another woman. That isn't plural marriage. That's financial exploitation wrapped in religious language. And the guest house detail? That sent longtime viewers over the edge. What exactly did Robyn need a guest house for? Who was staying there while Meri rented modest accommodations? The excess, the unnecessary luxury, the sheer imbalance perfectly captured everything that was wrong with how this family functioned. Robyn got a mansion with a guest house. Meri got nothing but the privilege of paying for it. But when confronted about these financial arrangements, Robyn offered a defense so flimsy it only made things worse. And Meri's response to that defense? Absolutely savage. Robyn's justification centered on one claim she apparently believed would clear her of any wrongdoing. Her argument was simple: Kody paid the insurance on the Vegas property. Therefore, Robyn claimed, Kody contributed. And therefore, he was entitled to proceeds from the sale. It's the kind of argument that sounds almost reasonable for about 3 seconds until you actually think about it. And Meri didn't allow those 3 seconds to pass without dismantling the claim entirely. Her response was devastating in its simplicity and its accuracy. Insurance costs are built directly into mortgage payments. When you pay a mortgage, you're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, all bundled together. Which means that when Meri made every single mortgage payment on that Vegas property, she was already paying the insurance Robyn insisted Kody handled separately. The defense wasn't just weak. It was factually wrong. And Meri exposed it with the kind of precision that only comes from someone who has been quietly holding receipts for years. One source close to the situation described Robyn's insurance argument as painful to watch. It was clear Robyn either didn't understand how mortgage payments work, or worse, she was counting on no one else understanding either. Another insider was even more blunt, calling it the kind of excuse a child makes when caught with their hand in the cookie jar, transparent, flimsy, and instantly disprovable. The fact that this was Robyn's best defense says everything about how indefensible the actual financial arrangements were. Once the insurance argument collapsed, there was nothing left to justify what happened next. If Kody didn't contribute to the down payment, didn't make the monthly payments, and didn't even pay the insurance he claimed to cover, then on what possible basis was he entitled to half the proceeds? The answer is painfully simple. He wasn't entitled. He took what he wanted because the system allowed him to take it, and Meri was expected to accept that quietly, dutifully, without complaint. And this moment matters because it reveals something even more unsettling. Robyn's attempt at a defense wasn't just weak. It exposed her awareness that the situation needed defending in the first place. You don't scramble for technicalities unless you know the arrangement looks bad under scrutiny. This wasn't ignorance. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was damage control. She felt compelled to defend the arrangement, which tells you everything you need to know. You don't defend something that's fair. You don't scramble for explanations when the system is equitable. You only reach for excuses when you know the reality is indefensible. Robyn's weak attempt at justification was, in itself, an admission. She knew Meri got a raw deal. She understood that Kody's claim to that money didn't hold up under scrutiny. And that awareness makes what happened next even more outrageous. Because the treatment of Meri's money looks even worse when you compare it to how the family reacted when Christine tried to keep proceeds from her own home sale. And the double standard is impossible to ignore. When Christine Brown decided to leave and sell her Flagstaff home, Kody reacted loudly and publicly. He insisted that the proceeds from her sale belonged to the family. He argued that no wife should keep money from a family asset simply because her name was on the deed. Sound familiar? It should. The only problem is, those rules apparently only apply when the money isn't flowing toward Robyn. Let's spell this out plainly. Meri's Vegas money was taken without hesitation and redirected to fund Robyn's mansions.
No outright.
No speeches about fairness. No concern for shared principles. But when Christine wanted to keep money from her own home sale, suddenly, family finances became sacred. Suddenly, the family pot mattered. Meri gave without being asked. Christine was pressured to give against her will. And here's the part that should make your stomach turn. Christine had to bargain away her interest in Coyote Pass, land that was supposed to represent the family's shared future, just to keep money she had every legal and moral right to keep. Meri was never given that option. Meri was never asked. Her money simply vanished into Robyn's real estate portfolio while she remained silent, bound by expectations, loyalty, and NDAs. Sources describe the negotiations around Christine's exit as tense and revealing. One insider called Kody's insistence that Christine's money belonged to the family rich, considering he had already redirected another wife's money without blinking. Another said the contrast confirmed what everyone already suspected. The family's financial rules were never about fairness. They existed to benefit Kody and Robyn. The double standard wasn't subtle. It was blatant. And it was shameless. Side by side, the pattern is damning. Meri's money, freely taken and spent on Robyn. Christine's money, fought over the moment she tried to leave. This was not a system designed for equality. It was a system engineered to extract maximum value from wives who were out of favor, while fiercely protecting the resources of those who were in favor. And if there were any doubts left, the situation with Meri's grandmother's house erases them completely. When Meri wanted to purchase her grandmother's home, a property filled with deep personal and emotional significance, the family offered nothing. No pooled resources. No creative solutions. No help.
No sacrifice.
Meri had to do it alone. She found her own down payment. She secured her own mortgage. She handled every detail without a single ounce of family support. Compare that to Robyn, whose preferences moved mountains, unlocked shared funds, and justified multiple mansion upgrades, and the truth becomes impossible to deny. Meri gave everything to this family. And when it mattered most, the family gave her nothing.